After studying this module, you shall be able to know what cyber crimes are, how these crimes could be classified to make a systematic approach towards them, various terms related to cyber crimes. Introduction. Cybercrime denotes any misconduct that includes a computer and a network. The computer might have been used in the commission of a crime, or it may be the target. Net crime refers to criminal exploitation of the internet. Dr. Devarati Halder and Dr. K. Jaishankar defines cybercrimes as crimes that are done against persons or groups of persons with a criminal intention to deliberately harm the status of the victim or cause physical or psychological destruction to the victim directly or indirectly using modern telecommunication networks such as internet, chat rooms, emails, notice boards and groups, and mobile phones using SMS or MMS. Such offences may threaten a nation's security and financial health. Matters enclosing these kinds of offences have turned out to be at the highest level, mainly those covering cracking, patent infringement, teenager pornography and child grooming. There are also difficulties of confidentiality when private information is vanished or interrupted legally or otherwise.
Classification of cybercrimes. Cybercrime includes a wide range of activities. Generally, however, it may be classified into four classes as on the image: crime against individual, crimes against property, crimes against organization, crimes against society. Crimes against individuals. Email spoofing. A spoofing mail is the formation of email messages by impersonating correspondent identity. It shows its origin to be different from which actually it originates. Rajesh Manya, a bachelor learner at Purdue University in Indiana, was under arrest for threatening to explode a nuclear device in the university campus. The suspected email was sent from the account of another student to the Vice President for Student Services, though the email was tracked to be sent from the account of Rajesh Manya. Email spamming. Spam is a message also called as junk mail sent with a web link or business proposal. Clicking on this link or replying to commercial offer sent to a phishing website or set up a malware in your workstation. The senders of this electronic email are always unidentified. You need to be conscious to answering these kinds of spam mails because it tends towards some financial and data loss. Cyber defamation act of imputing any individual with intention to lower the person in the estimation of the right thinking members of society generally, or to cause him to be ignored or sidestepped, or to rendering him to hate, disrespect, or ridicule. Cyber defamation is not different from conventional defamation except the involvement of a virtual medium. Example: the email account of Rohit was hacked and several mails were sent from his account to some of his colleagues on the subject of his matter with a girl with intending to defame him. Cyber stalking. The Oxford Dictionary defines stalking as pursuing stealthily. Cyberstalking involves following a person's movement across the internet by posting messages, sometimes threatening, on the bulletin boards frequented by the victim, entering the chat rooms visited by the victim, continually attacking the victim with emails, etc. Crime against property. Credit card frauds, online fraud, and cheating are most money spinning trades that are rising nowadays in the cyberspace. It may have diverse forms: Some of the cases of online fraud and cheating that are uncovered are those referred to credit card offenses, contractual crimes, offering employment, etc. Recently, the Court of Metropolitan Magistrate Delhi found guilty a 24-year-old engineer employed in a call center of unfairly getting the details of Campa's credit card and bought a television and a cordless phone from Sony website. City Magistrate Gulshan Kumar sentenced Azim for cheating under IPC, but does not direct him to jail. As an alternative, Azim was requested to provide a personal bond of Rs 20,000 and was released after a year of trial. Intellectual property crimes. Intellectual property involves a list of rights. Any illegal act due to which the owner is deprived entirely or partly of his human rights is a crime. The very common form of IPR abuse may be known to be software piracy, copyright infringement, trademark and service mark violation, theft of a computer source code. The Hyderabad court has, in a landmark judgment, has convicted 3 persons and sentenced them to 6 months custody and fine of Rs 50,000 each for unauthorized copying and sale of pirated software. Internet time theft. Basically, internet time theft comes under hacking. It is the use by an unofficial individual of the internet hours paid for by another individual. The individual who gets entrance to someone else's ISP user ID and password either by hacking or by gaining access to it by unlawful means uses it to access the internet devoid of the other person's knowledge. You can recognize time theft if your internet time has to be recharged often, regardless of infrequent usage. Crimes against organization. Unauthorized access. This is generally denoted to as hacking. The Indian law has, however, given a different connotation to the term hacking, so we will not use the term unauthorized access interchangeably with the term hacking to prevent misperception, as the term used in the IT Act 2000 of India is much wider than hacking. Denial of service attack. In simple words, denial of service referred to the act by which a user of any website or service denied to use the service or website. In this category of cybercrime, offenders aim the web server of the websites and flow a large number of requests to that server. This causes the use of maximum bandwidth of the website and it goes slow down or not available for some times. Virus attack. A computer virus is a type of malware that, when executed, replicates by implanting the replicas of itself, probably altered, into other computer programs, data files, or the boot sector of the hard drive. When this reproduction proceeds, the affected zones are then said to be infected. Viruses frequently do certain type of dangerous activity on infected hosts, such as stealing hard disk space or CPU time, retrieving private information, corrupting data, displaying radical or funny mails on the user's display, spamming their links, or logging their keystrokes. However, not all viruses convey a damaging consignment or effort to hide themselves. The describing features of viruses is that they are self-duplicating computer programs which mount themselves without the user's approval. On the other hand, a computer worm is a separate malware PC program that copies itself in order to disperse to other computers. Frequently, it uses a computer network to spread itself. Depend on security failures on the AIM computer to allow it. Unlike a computer virus, it does not require to join itself to an prevailing program. Email bombing. In email bombing, a user sending vast numbers of email to target address and due to this, that email address or mail server crashed. It feels like denial of service impression. It says that spamming is a variant of email bombing. Salami attack. A salami attack is when minor attacks makes up a major attack which becomes untraceable because of its nature. It is also called as salami slicing. Though salami slicing is frequently used to transport unlawful activities, it is only a plan for gaining an benefit over time by collecting it in small increments, so it can be used in perfectly legal ways as well. The attacker uses an online database to seize the information of customers, that is, bank, credit card details, deducting very little amount from every account above a period of time. The customers remain unaware of the slicing and hence no complaint is launched, thus keeping the hacker away from detection. Logic bomb. A logic bomb is a piece of code intentionally inserted into a software system that will initiate mischievous features under definite conditions. For example, a programmer may hide a part of code that starts initiating deleting files, such as salary database trigger, should they ever be completed from the company. Software that is inherently malicious, such as viruses and worms, often contain logic bombs that execute a certain payload at a predefined time or when some other condition is met. This technique can be used by a virus or worm to gain momentum and spread before being noticed. Some viruses attack their host systems on particular dates, such as Friday the 13th or April Fool's Day. Trojans that trigger on certain dates are frequently known as time bomb. Trojan horse. A Trojan horse or Trojan in computing is a non-self-duplicating kind of malware program comprising malicious code that, when implemented, carries out actions determined by the nature of the Trojan, usually causing damage or stealing of data, and likely system damage. The term is derived from the tale of the wooden horse used to trick defenders of Troy into taking concealed warriors into their city in ancient Greece. Because computer Trojans often hire a form of social engineering representing themselves as routine, valuable, or interesting in order to encourage victims to install them on their computers. A Trojan generally acts as a backdoor communicating a supervisor that can have unlawful access to the affected computer. The Trojan and exits are not themselves easily noticeable, but if they carry out substantial computing or communications activity may cause the computer to run noticeably slow. Data diddling. Data diddling is illegal modifying of data. When an individual enters some data to his system and output is different from input, then he may be victim of data diddling. It is done by a virus program that changes the entered data. Crimes against society. Forgery. When a perpetrator alters documents saved in electronic form, the crime committed may be forgery. In this instance, computer systems are the target of criminal activity. Computers, though, can also be used as tools with which to commit forgery. A new generation of fake modification or forging arose when electronic color laser duplicators became accessible. These duplicators are capable of high resolution repetition, alternation of documents, and even the formation of false documents without getting an original, and they form documents whose quality is not differentiated from that of authentic documents except by an expert. Cyber terrorism. At this juncture, a necessity may be felt need to distinguish between cyber terrorism and cybercrime. Both are criminal acts. Though there is a compelling necessity to differentiate between both these crimes, a cybercrime is usually a domestic subject which may have worldwide significances. Though cyberterrorism is an international concern which has domestic as well as international consequences. The common form of these terrorist attacks on internet is by dispersed denial of service attacks, hate websites and hate mails, attacks on delicate computer networks, etc. Technology savvy terrorists are using 512-bit encryption that is not possible to decrypt. The new example may be quoted of Osama bin Laden, the LTTE attack on America's army deployment system during Iraq War. Cyberterrorism may be defined to be the planned use of disorderly activities or the danger thereof in cyberspace with the intention to further social, philosophical, religious, political, or analogous objectives, or to threaten any person in persistence of such objectives. Another definition may be attempted to cover within its ambit every act of cyberterrorism. A terrorist means a person who indulges in wanton killing of persons or in violence or in disruption of services or means of communications essential to the community or in damaging property with the view to 1. Putting the public or any section of the public in fear, or 2. Affecting adversely the harmony between different religious, racial, language, or regional groups or castes or communities, or 3. Coercing or overawing the government established by law, or 4. Endangering the sovereignty and integrity of the nation. And a cyber terrorist is the person who uses the computer system as a means or ends to achieve the above objectives. Every act done in pursuance thereof is an act of cyber terrorism. Webjacking. The word webjacking comes from hijacking. In this type of cybercrime, the cybercriminals hacks the control of a website. They may be able to change the content of the website. They use that website as like owner, and the real owner of website has no more control on the website. Sometimes attackers ask for ransom to the owner of the website.
Cybercrime denotes any offense that includes a computer and a network. The computer may have been used in the commission of a crime, or it may be the target. Cybercrimes could be broadly classified into four categories: crimes against individual offenses in contradiction of property, crimes against organization, offenses in contradiction of society. A spoof email may be said to be one which represents its origin. It shows its origin to be different from which actually it originates. Intellectual property comprises of a list of rights. Any illegal act by which the owner is deprived entirely or partly of his rights is a crime. Internet time theft comes under hacking. It is used by an illegal individual or the internet hours paid by another person. Denial of service, referred as an act of a user of any website or service denied to use the service or website. A salami attack is when minor attacks made up to major attack that will become untraceable due to its nature. A computer virus is a type of malware that when executed replicates by implanting replicas of itself. A Trojan is a non-self-duplicating kind of malware program comprising malicious code that when implemented takes out actions determined by the nature of the Trojan, generally creating loss or stealing of data or likely system damage.